Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Why SmackDown is better than Raw. It's a controversial opinion. We're going to put ourselves out there. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the SmackDown review edition of WrestleRamble.
The comments.
I know.
The comments we're going to get for this video.
The allegiances to Raw are so strong.
We're gonna get
Everyone's so behind Raw being the better show. There's no Team SmackDown people out there.
Nope. It will be like Advil and Ice comments and you guys are idiot comments because we are saying we are really taking some spicy takes here.
Oh, yeah.
Controversially spicy takes.
You won't hear this opinion anywhere else.
Absolutely not.
We're being facetious. It's widely regarded SmackDown is the better show. Just it's more enjoyable. And that's not just because it's an hour shorter and easier to sit through. It's because of weeks like this, where the go-home shows are next week for Elimination Chamber. So what you have here is really a filler episode. You want to progress some stories, you want to have some fun matches, and you just set everything up for the big go-home angles to sell the pay-per-view next week. On Raw, it felt empty. It felt like there were no stars, despite Becky being on the show, who is a SmackDown wrestler. Ronda Rousey, you had Stephanie McMahon out there.
Kurt Angle,
Jeff Jarrett, Braun Strowman. But it just felt so sparse. But this episode of SmackDown was there was nothing newsworthy, headline-wise.
Absolutely.
It's not like EC3 debuted or Becky Lynch got suspended.
None of the NXT call-ups were featured.
Yeah, not even Heavy Machinery in a four-way match.
No, absolutely not.
But what it did have was just enjoyable stuff to pass the time, and it all effectively built what's going to happen next week. And it's just that this is an example of a filler episode. Filler episode sounds like a derogatory term. I guess like filler tracks on an album. Sum 41, all killer, no filler. But
Weezer's latest album, all filler tracks.
I mean, I think that's generous to the idea of filler tracks.
Yeah.
But also, this is low key just one of the best episodes of SmackDown ever. It's fundamentals. It's just entertaining,
right?
That they didn't, apart from the Asuka stuff, they haven't done anything wrong. And it was just a pleasure to watch.
I said in my review, because I gave this a low smacktastic. And the only reason I gave it a low smacktastic is because, I mean, nothing happened on the show. So you can't say, it's a 5 out of 5 show, or it's like, it's a high smacktastic. God, there was so much to talk about. But at the same time, you can't give it any less than smacktastic because it was a really, really good show. And as I said in the review, the why SmackDown is such a watchable show is it is dripping in talent. The roster is so deep.
Dripping like EC3 with baby oil.
Oh, man, no wonder Alexa Bliss is just so... She is as horny for EC3 as Otis is horny for her. It is dripping with talent. It's got such a deep roster, not on the women's side, but such a deep roster that you can have a show where you don't have The Miz or Shane McMahon on the show. You don't have The Bar. You don't have... like Sanity, I mean, granted, they're not
The New Day.
The New Day, exactly. There are all of these guys, and you're like, God, you probably could have featured them. You probably could have featured them. So we were saying it the other week. It's just like
No Rey Mysterio.
No, or Andrade.
Got a little bit, but yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He got a 30-second promo backstage. We were saying, I can't remember which show we were talking about this on, but like Randy Orton can miss 5 weeks of SmackDown, and you're never like, oh man, they are really in desperate need of Randy Orton here. And then when Randy comes back, you're like, oh cool, Randy's back.
From out of nowhere. Usually.
It's because they've got this SmackDown roster is going to be gutted at the Superstar Shakeup. Absolutely decimated. And they're going to take all of those guys and girls and put them on Raw, and then Raw is going to give them Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins and Apollo Crews and just all these jabronis that they don't, Heath Slater and Rhino, that they don't need over there, and be like, we need to put all these stars back on Raw, I guess. And it's exactly what happened in 2017. The 2016 SmackDown roster was so much better than Raw, and the product was so much better than Raw, so Raw was like, oh no, we need to bring all these guys over here. So in 2017, Raw was the better show. And until the 2018 draft, when all of a sudden SmackDown got all of the stars back again.
I don't get how that... I still don't understand that draft.
I don't. And SmackDown got all the stars again, and it's been the better show since.
Yeah.
So Raw next year or Raw this year rather, in theory, should be the better show again, because all these good people from SmackDown are just going to go over to the red brand.
I must point out that the better shows of SmackDown in these eras are better than the better episodes of Raw, in my opinion. Just because I think Raw, if it gets good talent, more often than not, is going to do something wrong with that talent. Whereas SmackDown does a much better job of doubling down on the talent's strengths.
Yeah.
Like James Ellsworth is always the most amazing example for me in that first 2016 run. SmackDown didn't have the best roster, but it's what they did with the talent they had that made them so good. That Styles, Ambrose, Ellsworth program was really inspired.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yes, and apparently a lot of that is to do with Ryan Ward. But then Road Dogg got in, and it's, of course, all Road Dogg's fault.
It was all Road Dogg's fault that it went, he's still the head writer, but it's still Road Dogg's fault that SmackDown is the better show, I guess.
Yeah, well, we don't know what's going on, really. We're just joking about Road Dogg. But this, it is... I got such an Attitude Era, not in terms of tone, but just in terms of depth of talent in the main event of this week's episode of SmackDown, because it's a match between Jeff Hardy and Daniel Bryan, but throughout the entire show they've been bubbling away and building the 6-man Elimination Chamber match. And I look back at like the last decade of Elimination Chamber matches, and because you've got 2 men's matches usually on those pay-per-views, it seems a little bit filled up. Speaking of filler, like R-Truth's in there. R-Truth, the US champion, wasn't on this show.
You're absolutely right.
Asuka wasn't.
They showed like clips of the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And at one point you can see Elias is in one of them, and I was like, when the hell was Elias in an Elimination Chamber match?
So, I mean, Santino is one of the all-time great entries, though. So
was it for the European Championship? Is that why Elias is there?
So you've got... The Elimination Chamber, I feel, isn't always as stacked as it could be. But this year for the SmackDown one, you've got Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Mustafa Ali, who's the most exciting for me, and AJ Styles. And those guys have been deployed and presented so effectively, and such a good balance. I said this last week. I prefer Randy and Jeff being in there than, say, an Andrade, because I think it elevates everyone else, makes it seem like a bigger time match to the mainstream. So you've got this really good balance of talent.
And the kind of the brilliant thing about SmackDown is that, as you said there, you could have put Andrade into that match and it still would have felt like a big deal. Similarly, there are so many other names that you could have said that could have also gone into that match, and you'd be like, A, they totally belong there, and B, I'm also just excited for that match. I'm both members of the Bar, for example. Like if you put Cesaro in that match, if you put Kofi or Xavier or Big E into that match, if you put Rusev or Shinsuke Nakamura into that match,
geez, yeah.
Like there's so many guys on that roster that you could be like, yeah, totally, they could be in that WWE Championship picture. And it's just so stacked.
And what I think's key is it's not just loads of guys. It's loads of guys who are presented really well and have very engaging characters. Like Mustafa Ali, Daniel Bryan, and Samoa Joe are arguably 3 of the best characters and performances of their characters in the company at the moment. And they're all in there. And you've got these 6 guys, and they all hate each other.
Yeah.
And it's all over the WWE title. And seeing the main event. So the main event was this match between Jeff Hardy and Daniel Bryan. Nothing to write home about, but the finish was Hardy goes for the Swanton Bomb, hits it, but Rowan pulls him out just as the pin's going to happen. And then Bryan starts to lock in the bell lock on Hardy. But Samoa Joe runs in with this big grin on his face behind Bryan.
The picture. I'm actually going to bring up the picture that's on WWE.com because it's so good. Of the face that Samoa Joe has.
The glee.
Yeah, of just being like, oh, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah. And Joe locks that in, and then I think it's Randy who comes out next, and then Ali jumps in from out of nowhere, but Rowan takes him out. AJ, meanwhile, is like, I'm not coming out till you play my music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look at that Joe face. He's like, oh yeah.
And he's just like, oh, he doesn't know I'm here.
Oh, this is the face he thinks when he thinks about Wendy in my head. Ooh, Bryan.
Ooh, the bell lock.
Yeah, it's not a kinky thing.
No.
It's a I'm going to hurt you thing.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that is a kinky thing to Joe. But all these 6 guys are brawling. AJ, I love how everyone else comes out, normally just runs down. But Styles like, I'm not coming down to you, play my music.
Oh, I'm a star? Can you play my music, please?
Yeah. And then he comes down. He runs wild, really, and Bryan runs off. So smart. Keeping these 2 guys separate, and they're not allowed to touch each other before the chamber. It's a great way to build the eventual match, especially if Bryan's the last one to enter. And Styles is just, I want to
You've got to hope that Bryan's the last one in.
Yeah, because you've got all these little feuds here. You've got Bryan and Styles. You've got a long-running thing between Randy and Jeff, which I'm not so into. But then you've got the Samoa Joe Ali thing. So you've got those 3 distinct feuds that have been going on for a while.
But now Randy's also got beef with Joe because Joe attacked him after his match with Ali.
Yeah, and Ali had like you said, the match with Randy. It's just everyone is feuding with everyone. I love it.
Yeah, and that's why SmackDown's such a watchable show. It's just, and it's episodes like this, as you say, it's a filler episode. No major advancements were made in pretty much any story on SmackDown at the moment. But yet it still felt like, oh man, you've got to go out of your way to watch SmackDown this week. And just for that sort of main event picture. But even things like down in sort of the tag division where you've got a new team emerging with Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Next week you've announced that he's going to have a face-to-face between Miz and Shane McMahon and the Usos, which was then, coupled with an Usos promo. In fact, the only thing that is lacking on SmackDown is a women's division. And that's because they put so much focus on Becky and Charlotte, quite rightly so, as the most over people, on that brand in terms of that division, that no one else feels special and or important. Asuka at the moment has no feud because there are no other women that she can face because they're all inside the chamber.
Yeah.
It's only Charlotte. And you're not going to do Asuka Charlotte again because you probably don't want Charlotte to lose before WrestleMania. So at this point, it just feels like Asuka's not got a match at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, it's that's the only awkward part of all of SmackDown. But just to end on a positive on the SmackDown, you started to look the negative.
Oh no! I wasn't being negative.
Is how there's a title. There is a top title that is represented and on SmackDown every week. And I know that almost sounds like white noise criticism, like a broken record point, but it really is important, and shows like this communicate why. That's why, even though we weren't Roman Reigns fans pre his leukemia diagnosis, which we are now fans, I think he's got a great character to come back with, weirdly. Him just having the title, I think we were all really pleased about that.
Exactly. It's particularly if it's a title that the person holding it wants to keep.
Yeah.
Like when Brock is champion, as much as I don't mind Brock being champion, because really for me the Universal title means diddly dick anyway. Like it's not a title I'm like, God, I can't wait to see someone else take that away from Brock. I'm kind of past that point now. But when he has the title, it's like he doesn't care that he has the title. It's not. It's just it's a prop. Literally, it is a prop to further a storyline. But on SmackDown, the WWE Championship, it feels like everyone wants to win that belt because winning that belt is the most important thing. And then you got Daniel Bryan, who has this new heavyweight championship that he's made. That he's like, it is so important that I keep hold of this belt. And that makes the belt feel important and special, and then everyone fighting for it feels important and special.
Yeah, they say the man makes the title, which is a large part of it, but the men fighting for it also do. That's why the NXT Championship is so revered, because it's gone from great champion to great champion, and you've always got a really good feud, especially with Ciampa and Gargano. Well, not so much feuding over it at the moment, but that whole storyline, Ciampa being obsessed with it, it's great. And how Bryan has made the title not just the title important because it's the top belt on SmackDown, but also it now embodies all of his values that he fights for. No matter how heelishly so, is remarkable. This was an enjoyable episode of SmackDown. Let's get on with the full review.
It's a SmackDown review, Michael. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
You said SmackDown doesn't have a women's division, which is... It really does, because you've got Becky Lynch, top star in the entire company. Mm-hmm. You've got Charlotte Flair.
But she's going after a Raw title.
Yeah. But on let's just say on SmackDown, you've got Charlotte Flair as well, and who's considered very big and really does have star presence. And you've got Asuka as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, those three are big enough to have a division, and if they're all feuding over the title. Unfortunately, although it's the best thing for the company with Becky going after Ronda, it's not necessarily the best thing for the SmackDown Women's title. And it's not that they don't have a women's division, it's just that it's been mishandled, I would argue.
I would also argue that they don't have a women's division that has enough people in it to kind of like call it a full division when their teams in the Elimination Chamber have just said, well, I'm in the chamber.
Yes.
Whereas Raw somehow has enough people to have qualifying matches.
There's always going to be a Dana Brooke. There's always going to be an Alicia Fox or a Mickey James to eat those pins.
And Raw's missing one, because they don't have Ember Moon at the moment.
Yeah.
So they had extra people that had to sit on the sidelines. Like the fact that Alexa Bliss and Mickey James are not in the chamber fighting for the title kind of feels like, wow, like they're a proper team. Like they should really be in this match. And yet here you've just got Naomi and Carmella, because literally they're the only people left.
And they dance.
They didn't dance together though, did they?
They should do. I think they did that. Oh no, it was Lana and Naomi. I don't even care. But the SmackDown opened with the biggest star in the company. Well, it's Charlotte Flair came out first. Total babyface Charlotte wearing all black and black lipstick. I don't know how you're missing this. She's a babyface tweener.
Are you still going by the she's a babyface? She's not even a tweener at this point. She is an out-and-out heel.
Yeah. There was definitely to one guy very near the microphone of the hard cam, it sounded, who you could singularly hear. This wasn't an audience of boos. It was just one guy going, boo, when Charlotte came out. Anyway, she replays the Stephanie angle and the knee injury stuff from the previous night. And Charlotte says that she, very sarcastically, I hope that Becky's healthy for WrestleMania. Becky.
She's like trying to get the fans to. She's essentially mocking the fans for liking Becky.
Yeah. I thought this was very well delivered. It sounded like she went off script as well and improvised.
Oh, she had some great lines when she was making fun of Becky doing her entrance. I thought Charlotte was awesome in this segment. I thought she was really great. And it's because, as we've said probably since day dot, she's a wonderful heel. She is a very, very effective heel.
She's a different kind of heel now as well than she was when she was Queen, I'm better than everyone heel Charlotte. So it's nice that she's changed it up a bit. Like she's not coming out in gowns and robes. It's just all black.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I see that you've written in your notes, Ollie still thinks she's a babyface.
I wrote that there to remind myself to make that joke in the review.
But then Charlotte says, well, if Becky can't make it, I could go to WrestleMania.
Yeah. I'm fit and healthy.
Points at the sign. And I thought, is something meant to happen here? It went on for long, but there was a reason for it. It's because the suspended Becky starts making her way through the crowd from underneath the WrestleTalk's sign. WrestleMania. Come on, let's make that happen. Someone bringing a sign big enough.
And we don't say this often with WWE. This was really well staged.
Oh, yeah.
This was a wonderfully constructed sequence of events in which Charlotte's out there being all pompous and insincere about, I hope Becky's going to be fine for WrestleMania. I'm fit and healthy, by the way. I just thought I would point that out there. And I suppose I could go to WrestleMania. She's pointing to the sign, so everyone looks up to the sign. And then Becky comes out from underneath it. And all of a sudden you can see Charlotte's like, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And so she instantly goes into defense. It's like, not only did you steal my father's nickname, you're now stealing Roman Reigns' entrance.
It's a great line. That was really good.
Yeah.
And and then Triple H comes out and he says, like, he's playing the good guy. He's like, Becky, you're suspended. We can lift the suspension if you just see a doctor. Triple H, I thought, was brilliant in this segment as well.
I thought everyone was really, really great in this.
And Charlotte's still, while this is going on, Charlotte's still being, Becky's rubbish.
Mocking the limp as well. Oh, my knee.
Yeah, and Triple H says, this doesn't concern you, go to the back. And Charlotte's like, okay.
I thought he was basically talking about the WrestleMania main event. Of like, this does not concern you. Why are you involved in this?
But as Triple H's like, okay, you've got to go, Becky. And he motions to leave. He's halfway out the ring, and Becky says, how's Stephanie?
Well, she goes, is Stephanie medically cleared?
And then Triple H is just like, what? He just unloaded on Becky with this fantastic promo.
It was so good.
I thought this whole segment was, and I really enjoyed the Stephanie Becky segment on Raw. This segment was 5 times better. This was so good.
It's because Triple H strikes the balance brilliantly of being a heel authority figure, but also like passionate wrestler and passionate wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And he just talks about like Becky's like, I should have seen this coming. You're a self-sabotager. Like you wanted to have, like you keep saying you want these big matches, but as soon as they come round, you seem to find a reason not to do them or something along these lines. And it's just really well. And he was like, you could go and get medically cleared, but you don't want to be medically cleared because you don't want to have Ronda Rousey embarrass you at WrestleMania. He was so good in this promo.
Yeah. It's not only a great, like Triple H, obviously a great deliverer of promos. This was a terrific performance from him. The content of the promo and the character work that it did, just for Triple H, positioning him against Becky, but also for Becky, because I never even thought about the self-sabotage line. I just thought she was coming at it from, like, there's so many ways you can take Becky's character at the moment. All as a babyface, of course, but, like, she's actually deep down scared that she won't be medically cleared, so she's lashing out. There's a conspiracy theory, which also checks out. And now there's this self-sabotage thing, that it's actually because she's scared of failure on a big stage. Yeah. So I just thought this was brilliant. And Triple H as well, the crowd start booing him and he tells them to shut up because it doesn't concern you either.
Oh my, it was so good. And again, that felt like a off-the-cuff thing. And it was just Triple H almost getting frustrated with himself because he's saying these things and he wants to be trying to support in these people. I thought it was really good. I see that you and I have made the exact same note, though, of when they were doing the intense stare-off, and I was like, just kiss already.
Yeah, their faces were so close.
But then Becky just, like, unbreaking, looking at him, just slaps him across the face. And then they have an even more intense stare-off. I did see someone saying, like, yeah, I don't really care about Becky and Ronda anymore. I want to see Becky versus Triple H at WrestleMania.
I did think, like, is Becky going to beat Triple H up here?
Yeah.
Nia Jax was beating up people in the Rumble. And the fact that they made me believe it and I would believe in Becky doing it is just a testament to how well she's been booked. We both have been very big fans of Becky's run. Everyone is.
Controversial opinions.
Yeah, I know.
The whole show has been full of them.
But this was the first time where my fandom went up another level of her in this segment, where she entered the CM Punk realm of like, I'm not just like, I really love Becky. It's like, freaking out, I want to be Becky. which for me is like the next level of obsession.
Do you know how good Becky is as well, and how much we're like all super behind Becky? Do you remember when John Cena used to get suspended and then he would show up a week later and everyone were like, oh god, John Cena could even take a week off and he has to be back on the show. Here it's less than 24 hours, Becky's back, and we're not going like, oh god, Becky just had to be on the show. We're like, oh good, Becky's here.
I think that's because that criticism against John actually comes from a place of everyone wanted him to go away, whereas no one wants Becky to go away. It's fine.
This was far and away the best thing on the show. I thought it was so good. Yeah. As it feels like I'm a broken record when I say this, but every time that Becky is in the ring, it's the best thing on the show. She's the best thing in the company.
Yep, and credit to WWE too. They're booking her in very good segments.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It took them a little while to get there, but they figured it out, and this is it's something they just cannot get wrong at the moment. There's always that worry with WWE that they can overthink things too much. I'm thinking Brett versus Vince at WrestleMania, where they're like, this really books itself, but what if Brett's in a car accident? And you're like, oh no, where are you going? Where are you going?
It's just sometimes people are like, hey, you shouldn't give the internet wrestling fans what they... I mean, everyone's got the internet now. It's an outdated term, but you shouldn't give the smarks what they want. They don't know what appeals to the mainstream. Look how much better it is when you do what we want.
And then Becky, like a complete badass, just slaps Triple H across the face. She's like, well, I've made my point, and I'm off.
Oh, it's terrific.
Left the way she came in. I thought it was wonderful.
Still suspended. No real big headlines again. Nothing. I guess it was flashy, but it was just a really solid, really effective segment. I loved it.
Yes.
Next up, we got ad break, comeback. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows are already in the ring.
Jobber entrance for
them. Of course they are. And then we get the team of Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura come out, of course. They're a sort of odd couple. Rusev doesn't trust Nakamura, but Rusev is also now a heel. So they're both on the same moral side.
Yeah. It's funny. I didn't really think about this until Rusev talked about it in that Lillian Garcia podcast, where he was talking about his very open frustrations he has with WWE and working there as a company. And sort of about like how this sort of amazing period he had as a babyface. But then just in an offhand it was like, well, Vince just thinks I should be a heel. And you're like, of course Vince thinks you should be a heel. You're not American, so of course you have to be a heel. Yeah. And as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, his heel turn makes so much sense now. Of course.
Yeah. The Lana's still got the Stormtrooper boot on.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't know she had it on last week. I thought she didn't.
Or maybe
have it
she
on.
was limping. Yeah, I can't remember. But I hope they make a thing of this.
Well, did you see their? I know you didn't. But did you see their YouTube interview they did afterwards? They have. I know this has got to be something they translate through to TV because this could make this team really, really work. Neither of them speak English in their promos. So you've got like the it's probably Mike Rowe or whatever his name is, like asking Rusev a comment and he speaks in Bulgarian. And then it goes to Shinsuke Nakamura and he speaks in Japanese. And then Lana steps forward and translates for both of them.
Lana knows Japanese now.
Well, apparently so.
Wow. What a multi-talented lingual woman she is.
That, as a gimmick, is something that could really make this team pop.
And it plays off of what Nakamura was doing in his heel run previously.
Yeah.
But this match was nicely structured. Rusev sort of, he's showing that he doesn't fully trust Nakamura. He stares him down when Nakamura tags him in, which causes a near fall off Anderson, I think it was. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they're so good.
Yeah, so underutilized on SmackDown. Like they are victims of this stacked roster.
There was a moment when Karl Anderson and Shinsuke Nakamura were in the ring, and I'm thinking 2016 G1 New Japan here, and I just thought, what's happened? Or was it 2015? Like, this should be. This is a great match that's not happening.
Yeah.
And then Luke Gallows' hot tag was really cool as well. The crowd was so into them as well.
Yeah.
For an act that hasn't been on telly really for a year.
Yeah, they got drafted to SmackDown and have done nothing since.
Karl Anderson once took a running knee for AJ Styles.
And they did have a short-lived feud with the Bludgeon Brothers. Karl Anderson pinned
They had a pay-per-view match.
Oh, a kickoff match. Karl Anderson pinned one of them on TV, I think.
But Nakamura's sent outside off this Gallows hot tag, and it's Lana who kind of rouses Nakamura, gets him back in the ring to help Rusev to win the match.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they all celebrate in the ring, and Rusev's kind of begrudging respect of Nakamura. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think this is a team. The storyline to get them here is a bit muddied, and it doesn't. I mean, if you break it down, it doesn't make a whole mess of sense. No. But, mate, if you can make it work, you can make it work.
This was a good next chapter in, like, it wasn't rushed. They're brewing things nicely. I agree. The Rusev heel turn is where it all falls down because it's got no underpinning.
Nope.
But everything else is ticking along nicely. So, cool. Then we got a Mustafa Ali promo backstage, how he might win the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber.
It's a possibility. I was disappointed this wasn't one of his like outside in the cold promos, which I thought were so much cooler.
Yes, yeah, especially because it looks like that they had an Usos backstage promo sort of immediately after, really, and they looked to be in the same place. But Mustafa Ali having those separate things, which was so good, like it's clips and it's him outside, it's much better.
It is much better. Like this felt more stilted, more WWE, if you will.
Yeah, but it was fine. It was just fine. Not as good as it could have been.
Exactly.
Speaking of, Paige here.
Good. Hope you've all missed me. I've got a film.
Yeah, so this is just a backstage thing. She's kind of in a big armchair.
At least she's not coming out in front of the crowds this time.
That was more awkward.
Yeah.
This was less awkward. But then there was like her feed line into them rolling the trailer for Fighting With My Family, the new movie that's out on February 14th or whatever it is. She just goes, I think you'll find it very interesting. Who writes that?
Do you not think it's just the way that Paige talks?
I can't think of that being the best line to introduce a trailer.
Well, she also said it's a clip and it's a trailer, which means she didn't even know what they were going to show.
Anyway, there's whatever. Yeah. It's a thing that we're just going to have to deal with for the next week and a bit.
Yeah, and then the film can come out, and then she could just be off TV again, I guess.
And then she can go to AEW. Then we got the Usos backstage promo. Just great. You know, the Usos are just great at promos.
Yeah.
And unique.
It should be pointed out as well, I do want more for Paige. Like, it's not like I want her off TV. I would just, if she's going to be on TV, do something other than this, because this is not working. I thought the Usos promo was great, and they will be on McMiz TV next week for a special segment.
That has potential to be awesome. Miz, great promo. Usos, great promo.
Shane McMahon sweating.
Shane McMahon there.
Oh, can you imagine if they did a rap battle with Miz and Shane?
Shane could be quite funny in a rap battle, but then I said that about the bar, and that didn't play out too well.
They sang Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, and it was better than what the New Day did.
It fell worse than flat. It fell hard.
Oh, stop.
It was like it was like a botched pile driver fall.
Oh, I
fell so
completely disagree.
After that, we got the Mustafa Ali versus Randy Orton match, which was just another thread in this larger six-man feud that culminated in the main event that, of course, building towards a chamber. And this was really fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Ali didn't get an entrance, but that doesn't matter. Randy got an entrance and an inset promo because he's sick and sadistic.
Cool. I don't do this very often on this show. I feel like I get a bit of a bad rap for my opinions on Randy Orton because a lot of our audience kind of grew up in that era when Randy Orton was on top. Ergo, they sort of perceive him to be a big star. It's this, it's the same people who will defend the Spinner Championship being a nice design for a title, which it's not. I thought Randy was terrific in this match because his offense when he was on top was really, really great. But his selling of Ali's comeback really put over Mustafa Ali's comeback. Ali's comeback was awesome already anyway, but Randy's selling of it made it even better. I thought Orton did such a good job in getting Ali over here.
Yeah, and there are a few really, really nice spots. I've written right at the start of this match in my notes, will Randy be in caring mode? And the answer was yes. So it feels like they have sat down backstage and gone, okay, you can do this and I can do this and that will be smart and this will be interesting. And we can maybe, if we have another match at the Chamber, we'll play off that spot here. My favourite bit was when Mustafa Ali goes up onto like the second rope. He's going to do his diving off a tornado DDT move. And Randy Orton jumps to do the RKO, but Ali fakes the jump.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and actually hits the tornado DDT. I thought that was terrific.
And the finish. Holy heck, into the finish. So Ali goes up to do the 054. Randy grabs him by the foot, yanks him, and hits an RKO as he's falling down.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
That was a great...
so good.
It wasn't strictly from out of nowhere because there was a setup.
Yeah.
But it was a great RKO.
It's not quite Evan Bourne doing the shooting star press RKO. But it was still like, man alive, it looked wicked.
Well, I've been thinking about this spot, and I think that the only way to top this is to hit it off the 450 splash.
Yeah, the 054, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the 054. I'll get that right one day. I did. Will that work? So, yeah, Mustafa Ali would be... It'll be difficult.
Randy Orton would have to like be on the floor already in position to kind of, and he'd have to land into his arms.
And Ali would have to dive really high, jump really high, I guess. Dive.
I thought this was really, and Ali got a heck of a black eye during the match as well. Heck of a black eye.
Yeah, I thought he was just winking at me, but
the backstage photos that he's posted up. Oof.
Yeah, I don't know what that was from. And there was another really nice spot.
Don't say that. That's all the comments are going to be now, is everyone pointing out where the spot is.
There was the backdrop. They're helpful. That's helpful. They don't know everyone else is also helping us. It's just take it as a mass of help.
Yeah,
that's all that's happening.
98% of the comments just
it's well-intentioned help. And so Orton goes to do his usual Sing Brother Death move, where he chucks them onto the announcer's table. He hits that first time round, goes to do it again. Ali flips out of it. And that was the start of his comeback. I really liked that.
The dive he did over because you almost expected him to use the table as like a leapfrog. But instead, he just launches himself over the table into... I thought it was tremendous. I'm a big fan of Mustafa Ali. I'm a big fan of this character that he's got. I think a win might help him because I don't think he's had a win all year.
He got the wins in the early stages, pinning Bryan in that tag match. Yeah. But this is... a win soon because he is taking a lot of pins, but I don't feel like it's hurting him still. He's mixing it up with a caliber of wrestler that is perceived to be so much higher than him that he should lose these matches, and if he did win, it should be a roll-up, a cheeky win thing there. I
just don't want Ali to fall into this WWE mindset. They've convinced themselves that the reason Daniel Bryan got over in the first place is because they just kept beating him all the time, when the truth of it is he got over in spite of that booking.
Yeah, that is the danger.
Yeah.
And seeing what's happening now, it really does make me question the Nia Jax eliminating him.
Well, yeah, because she eliminated him, and then Randy Orton made fun of him last week for being eliminated by a woman. So it's not like they've used that spot to elevate Ali. If anything, they've used that spot to just take him down a peg or two.
Like, if you're really doing proper, thought-out booking, Randy Orton should have eliminated Ali.
Yeah.
Because you had this match here, you build to the chamber match, it makes so much more sense.
Right.
So after the RKO, Randy's pinned him, he's standing up. There was a really nice, subtle look from Orton at Ali's corpse. Just being like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you took it to me there. I'm impressed, kiddo. I can't wait to fight again.
I can't wait to poop in your bag.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my finger in your earlobe if you have a piercing. But then Samoa Joe, from legit out of nowhere, got the Kikina clutch on Orton, gimmick infringement, and then he took out Ali too. So really nice building of just these six guys all against each other, and Joe just loves jumping out of nowhere and whacking on those Kikina clutches.
Well, he likes to show that he can lock that in from out of nowhere and stand tall at the end of it. And he just walks away looking really, really pleased as punch with himself. And Daniel Bryan comes out and he's just like, oh, brilliant, someone else I could put the clutch on. And then, big red Eric Rowan steps in the way. Bryan has a wonderful promo later on in this show about Eric Rowan and his relationship with him that I might have read too much into, but we'll come on to that.
Okay. Yeah, so that was a really nice, just crashing from one segment into the other. So you've got the match, then the Joe beatdown angle. Joe walks out, Bryan comes out, stare down. Rowan backs up Bryan. Joe's like, okay, maybe not today. Walks off straight into Bryan in-ring promo segment. It was really smooth and just like all that star power, especially Rowan. Just compare, that's more than anything had on Raw for the entire 3 hours. So then we get a terrific promo from Daniel Bryan in the ring off the back of this. And what's remarkable about this is he's in his home state of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
He's a babyface there, and he doubles down on it.
Yep. He could have easily, if they wanted to get Bryan heel heat in this segment, they could have been very easy. Bryan just didn't cut a promo and just allowed Eric Rowan to cut the entire promo for him, and that would have generated some heel heat for him. But that's not what they went for here. Bryan came out and was just a babyface and was like, so I'm going to be a babyface for this specific area here. It's like Bret Hart in Canada. It's like, you're all on my intellectual level. You all know that what I'm doing is right. And everyone's going, hey!
Yeah.
Yes, you are right.
And there's even a guy cosplaying as Daniel Bryan in the front row, dressed like Luke, wearing the
wooden
cardboard
championship,
championship. Yeah. So and he was introduced as Washington's favorite son, immediately getting the babyface pop. It's great because just when you think they're gonna zig, like Bryan just cuts heel promos no matter where he goes, if it's his home state or whatever, they zag.
Yeah.
And really smartly, I guess that's the best thing to do. You go with the crowd reaction rather than against it. I thought this was a really smart way and a really surprising way. It's nice to go, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And it was still really good.
Yeah, I loved it. Just coming out and saying, finally, I get to speak to people who understand what I'm trying to do. I thought it was a great, and that is something we're going to be saying a lot, I think, throughout the rest of this year, as we did towards the end of last year. Daniel Bryan is a great promo, and he's really nailing this character.
Yeah. And the way he gets around still having to cut a heel promo is like, I'm sorry, though, Washington. I'm also speaking to a global audience here, so
Yeah.
I've got to educate them on it. It was masterfully done.
I like when Eric Rowan Rowan cut a promo. I can't tell you a thing that he said
It's a shame he spoke.
Yeah, it's a very mumbly. It's not Ronda Rousey levels of mumble, but it's just like, and the crowd were chanting what? But Daniel Bryan's just like, please don't what, my good friend Rowan.
Yeah, that
Which I
was
thought was
funny.
really great.
Yeah, Rowan really should just be the silent monster here. I don't think he needed to talk at all.
No.
So that's the only thing I'd change. Also, there's actually another bit I would change. So Bryan starts talking.
So negative.
Bryan starts talking about how he was never the company's top plan. Like he won this championship. They don't want him to be champion. And now they're making me defend my belt in the unfair elimination chamber match. So after saying, I'm an anti-authority champion at the moment. I don't like the people in control. I'm going to do their bidding for them and introduce this video package for you all to see how horrible the Elimination Chamber structure is.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It should just be the announcer's job, that. And then Bryan and Rowan leave for the Hardy match later on. We got a Hardy promo, cuts backstage. He was watching that.
Yeah, he said that he's going to shut Daniel Bryan out later tonight, and he's disgusted with what Daniel Bryan has done to the legacy of the WWE Championship. I was like, mate, you had the spinner belt.
Yeah.
Like that was destructive to the legacy of that title.
You have so many DUIs.
Do you not remember your purple title in TNA?
Yeah.
Like, you have had a litany of ugly-looking belts.
Yeah.
This is lovely, this belt.
But then AJ Styles walks in and they have a little argue. I've said they're going to settle it in the table here. Of course. Hardy said he's going to settle it in the chamber.
Yep. Or he said settle it in the table. They might table for three.
I
Just sit
don't
down
know
and just
why I
have,
wrote table there.
just not mince their words. Just
not
have mincemeat
even-
instead.
It's not even close.
No, it's not. I did like Jeff's line, though, where he said that if the old AJ Styles could have beaten the new Daniel Bryan, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So that was a nice little line.
After this, we got the women's division. So it really was all the SmackDown women standing in a ring. Carmella and Naomi, who are a tag team now, I guess,
They
versus
have
the
to be.
IIconics.
They're the only two left that can go into the chambers. They have to be a team.
The IIconics and Rose and Deville, who are, to their credit, both tag team acts.
And they've got a name now. I
missed that.
Yeah, they've announced their new tag team name. Fire and Desire is their new tag team name. And I believe Carmella and Naomi are calling themselves Fabulous Glow, which is just so uninspiring.
It's abhorrent. I think we've talked about this before, how we think they're sowing very subtle seeds for Sonya to eventually turn on Mandy as a babyface.
Yeah.
Like, Sonya has enough of Mandy Rose getting all the attention. It's like, I'm going to rise up.
They were doing this storyline months and months ago and then just dropped it.
Yeah, or maybe, what one man's drop is another man's long-term storyline. And what happened here is they both got Mandy Rose's entrance music when they came out, and the style of her entrance, which is the Vaseline over the lens, apart from Mandy Rose. And it had the effect of Mandy Rose comes out in full HD, and Sonya Deville was blurred. Like she was censored, like she was Chris Benoit in a WrestleMania Network match. Like it was just, so I don't know if Sonya's going to eventually go, hey,
Mate,
you're overshadowing me.
you might have found more of this, quote, long-term storytelling.
Hey, in 4 years' time, they'll call back to that clip.
Oh, yeah.
Like the whole Tough Enough thing with Naomi.
Absolutely. So Naomi, they cut an inset promo. They announced themselves for the chamber, but more they wanted to talk about the Mandy Rose promo from last week, saying that it's a lame excuse for why you want to hate me, or something along those lines. I thought the IIconics promo was weirder though, because the IIconics promo was from a WWE.com interview, and they weren't the IIconics. They were like the wrestlers themselves, out of character, talking about how they've worked so hard to get to this point. It was a super serious promo, which was really different when they come back and they're just goofing around, pointing at each other, doing the little thing, coming out to absolute crickets as well, because no one cares about the IIconics, which is such a shame because they are tremendous.
Yeah, it's that WWE.com continuity,
Yeah.
which I kind of prefer.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it jars with what's presented in the actual show. I've written here, has everyone forgotten about Asuka? just that this is when I kind of realised, where's Asuka?
Yeah, it was when they showed the video package for Asuka, I was like, oh, she's not having a match at Elimination Chamber unless they announce one next week and it's Kairi Sane. They haven't got a match set up for her.
They have a shrink screen ad break here, so most of the match was ad break. When they come back, though, there was a really nice sort of blood feud bit between Naomi. She's beating up Sonya, and she just throws Sonya into Mandy, which tags in Mandy Rose.
Yeah, that whole match was really built around this sort of tension between Naomi and Mandy, which I thought they set up really, really nicely, of like Mandy beating down Carmella or whoever it is in the ring, and then as soon as Naomi would tag in, she would find a way to tag back out. And eventually Naomi's sort of like running wild, but she gets caught by sort of like Peyton Royce distraction, more or less, and that allows Mandy to hit the implant buster and get the win. So still continuing that storyline. It's not a storyline I'm invested in, but hey, this was a nice little step in that storyline. Thumbs up for that.
What I really liked was how the crowd reacted to when Mandy realised she had to get in the ring with Naomi.
Oh, totally.
finally.
Like, I'm in the minority of not really being invested in the storyline. I think the wider audience is really invested in what they've done here.
Yeah, I don't care for the storyline, but I like when storylines are not dropped and they follow along logically. I much prefer that than just Nia Jax is a heel now.
Yeah.
Elias is a heel now.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Sonya when she was doing her promo backstage. She was talking about like, oh, Naomi and Carmella, they're rubbish. We're going to beat them up in the chamber. And the IIconics, well, they are quite funny and they do make me laugh. But they're not going to be laughing inside the chamber. I thought that was good.
Sonya's great.
Sonya is great.
Then we got a quick Andrade promo, which was a few lines from him, and then Zelina Vega said how he didn't want to beat up Rey Mysterio last week, but he had to.
Yeah.
So just another example of how stacked SmackDown is. Stacked down, they should call it.
Oh, nice. There it is.
Pun Master comes in.
It's like Laurie Blake just walked into this room.
That Mysterio and Andrade aren't really featured on this show. And you do miss them, but not like the show's quality doesn't.
Yeah,
miss
exactly.
them.
Like we said with Raw, as soon as you haven't got Seth Rollins, the whole show fell apart.
But then, unfortunately, the final thing we'll talk about, because we've already covered the main event, is this Asuka video package that played before the main event. It was a really good video package.
Yeah.
It made it look like May to November 2018 never happened.
Absolutely not.
But it's not where Asuka should be, considering the momentum she had coming off winning the belt and then successful. Like, she beat Becky Lynch.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, she got a clean victory over Becky Lynch at Royal Rumble, and nothing has been built from that.
Like, why isn't Asuka at least squaring up to Becky backstage or something like that?
Or just featured on the show in some capacity. It's good. All the other women are in the chamber, so they've got no one for her to face. Which is.
But it's not like she can't be out there scouting that match.
No.
There's so many ways she could have featured.
Yeah.
I think having her on the show would have been better than just a video package.
I completely agree. Last thing
a
I want to...
squash match, sorry. Just have a squash match.
Yeah, it's not like WWE don't have access to talents, like enhancement talent they could bring up from NXT that she can just squash.
Well, AEW have actually signed everyone.
Oh, is that what the problem is?
Yeah. Everyone who's not on SmackDown.
God, always talk about AEW. You can't stop talking about them, can you? It's all your news is about. Last thing I want to talk about is Bryan. He cut this backstage promo after the sort of like Melee and Madness, and this is where my fantasy booking and possibly reading too much comes into play.
Okay.
Because he's talking about that he won that match. Eric Rowan didn't interfere in that match. Those other guys, they interfered in my match. And he's like, Eric Rowan's not my bodyguard. He's my intellectual, like, he's on the same intellectual level as me, which I think is wonderful. And then he has this moment when he was like, no one understands this but me and Rowan. And then he pauses, and it's a long pause. And it's almost like you can see the clockwork, like the cogs going round of being like, no, there's someone else. And he's looking to find more backup because there are, 5 other people gunning for his title.
Ooh.
Luke Harper return. That's all I'm saying, mate.
Oh, it gets me going. I think that's... I would love that. I think that's a great way to set it up as well, if that's the case. I've also written down just the way he drops in intellectual peer. It's such a clunky phrase.
I know.
But he makes it work. And kind of this...
Yeah.
It's like your annoying mate who always says your full name. Oh, how's it going, Oliver Davis? Like, just call me Ollie. But it's annoying, but it's also funny. he says he'll be champion forever as well. He believed it, and I believed in him, and it made me want to see the chamber match. Excellent promo. Because, Bryan, great delivery, but his promos, more often than not, make me want to see the match that I eventually have to pay for, which is the key.
And the great thing about this show, and how good this show was, and how much fun it was to watch, is that this would have been the point where you and I would have made fun that clearly the show ran short. They had to cut back to AJ Styles and someone on camera going like, will you do a celebrate so that we can just show you doing something rather than just stand in the ring? Because it did feel like the show ran short and they were like, oh no.
Cut a promo, Bryan.
Yeah, just cut a promo. Oh, quick, cut back to AJ. Do something, anything. But but it didn't bother me in the slightest.
No, that's why Bryan's so good. This was probably, we've run about 2 minutes short. Can you cut a 60-second promo? And Bryan's like, yes, and I'm going to set up this Luke Harper return with a pause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, that's all our thoughts. To be honest, I said it to you, and I stand by it. For a week-to-week show, this is 5 out of 5. This is what it's... And that's a weird way to say it. This is the most 5 out of 5, 3 out of 5 show I've ever seen.
Oh, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. I completely agree with that.
I love consistency. This is the quality weekly TV should be all the time. This should, and then a really good episode would be one with a proper really good match on, and then a 5 out of 5 would be an all-time amazing angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was brilliant. I love this episode. You gave it 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, yeah.
I would give it 4 out of 5 on the calibrated WWE scale.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got to be a sliding scale.
If this was the Raw scale, it's a 6 out of 5.
Yeah, it really was.
But we've got some Patreon shout-outs to do for our $25 Sledgehammers. Ramble Club, the podcast where we discuss and try and guess 2018's top 10 Pornhub searches.
The trends the searches that defined 2018.
Yeah, so plenty of fun there. But thank you for your support, Switchblade Courtney Summers.
Oh, yes.
Cheap pop time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of our longest running backers, Courtney. Dive, Dylan Cachetta.
I clapped too soon.
You did.
Yeah. They drew first blood, not me. Grace Rambo.
Oh,
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Grace. You sold out, Jay Sellers.
Boo.
Oh, boo, but also yay.
Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
Oh, he's such a master.
I feel like I got the cadence of that wrong. The Headmaster.
Oh,
I feel like I'm putting too much emphasis on the head.
I don't hear... That's what she said.
Yeah.
I don't hear the difference, I'll be honest.
Okay.
And finally, stay hyped, Kyle Rowley.
Cut a promo into a mirror.
Yes, but have the
Yes.
camera look at you so it looks like you're looking at the camera.
That's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. And this P right here, which will not only get you access to shout-outs like we just did, but also exclusive podcasts, outtakes, bloopers, other things. Yes.
Polls.
Not Polish people, but things you can vote in.
Yeah.
I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.